So you graduate from Pendleton High School, and then what do you do?
Well, after I graduated, I was in service 2 years.
Where'd you go?
I was in Berlin, Germany,
With the
infantry,
Army.
army.
Did you do your basic at Fort Jackson?
No, I did it at Fort Gordon. Went to Jackson for 2 weeks, and then from there they sent us to Fort Gordon for basic. And then from there I went to Fort Ord, California for advanced infantry training. And then from there worked our way back to New Jersey, and then to Frankfurt, Germany, and then to Berlin. I really never had been away from home very much when I went in service. Now that was a big, big change, you know, because I guess, sort of a mama's boy, I guess.
Nothing
And
wrong
then,
with that. So you come home after 2 years. Now what do you do?
well, I went back to work at Dodd Metal. It was still Dodd Metal Works then. And then after, I don't know, 2 or 3 years maybe, that's when he sold it to Seabrook. And then I worked there until 74, I guess it was. And then I left there and started on my own.
Donnie, what was there about your thinking when you're at Seabrook that you're going to take this jump and go into business for yourself?
Well, I really didn't have a choice. It was back when, I guess, recession.
Yeah.
They had some people had to go,
Okay.
and I was one that got let go. But it sort of, the timing, I guess, was pretty good because it was sort of the end of the recession and it had started picking back up. So that's when we started, and then I worked there mostly just myself, and if I had any, what little work I had, if it was weekends or something, my dad and my brother-in-law would come and help me. Well, they still worked at Seabrook, both of them. We rented a little building. Part of it didn't even have a floor. It was just dirt, you know, just...
So that's where it started.
That's where it started. That's when my dad and my brother-in-law came, and we all went together then. And didn't work out. My brother-in-law, that wasn't his thing, so he left, and it was just me and my dad. So Bob Hill with Hill Electric, we did some work for them. He came over one day, and he had bought the old Smith Motors on River Street, right below Hill Electric there. He bought that building. He wanted to know if we would take or be interested in renting the back part of it. He was setting up some kind of insulating business in the front part and wanted to know if we'd be interested in that back part. So we said, yeah, it's a lot better than what we got. So we moved over there, and things just kept growing and growing. And so it was actually like 3 sections of the building. He said, well, why don't you guys take that middle section too, because his business wasn't doing what he thought it was going to, I guess. So we got that part. And then a little while later, he said, y'all just take the whole building. I'm going to get out of this insulating. It's not working out. So we got the whole building then. And then that's when this land, we found this property on Standridge Road. We bought 5 acres there. We decided to put up 60 by 100 building, 6,000 square feet. So that's all we will ever need. So we moved over there, and the business just kept growing and growing.
And you were doing what specifically to make it grow? I mean, what were you
Most
doing?
of it was textile work, working for the textile plants.
Making what kind of stuff now?
A lot of duct work, machinery guards, just pretty much whatever they wanted out of metal. But
You could custom make it and make them happy.
that's what we did.
And then at some point, there was an accident in Anderson County,
Yeah.
and you were the beneficiary of it. Tell me that story.
Mr. Brock owned Anderson Armored Car. He had several cars. I'm not sure how many at that time. But anyway, one of them had an accident and overturned and really crushed it pretty good. So he came over. He knew my dad. And I wanted to know if we would be interested in trying to repair it, because there was no way they could take it back to where it had been originally built. So we told them we would. So they brought it over, and we took it all apart and redid all the metal work and everything, and it came out good. And he was pleased with it, so he asked us if we'd be interested in building one complete. We said, well, we'll try it. He had a chassis, and so we made everything, and he helped us a lot. He knew quite a bit about the armored car business, and he helped us quite a bit because he knew what he wanted and how it should be and everything. Like I say, it was a new ball game for us. But anyway, we did it, and then they would have these conventions every so often, so he actually took that car to the Independent Armored Car Association, something they would have every year. And then when we got there with the cars, there were some others that was interested in it. Mr. Dunbar from Baltimore, Dunbar Armored Cars. He was probably the largest independent at that time. Met with him, talked with him, met several times, and he was interested in what we were doing. And I think at that time they were having some problems, or either delivery problems, getting cars from where they had been getting them. And so he gave us an order for one or two. I can't remember, it's been so long.
Yeah, right.
So we made those, and they worked with us really good too. He was a good guy, and he helped us on a lot of things. So we got a couple of them made, and he liked those. So then he gave us, I don't know how many we did for him total, but it was probably 30 or so,
really?
I guess, total that we made just for him. And then we made a few others, but mostly what we did was for Dunbar.
What happened after the armored car business went away that prompted Sargent Metal to have to move out here?
The business was just growing and growing. We knew we wanted what direction we wanted to go. So, and we had some customers come in, potential customers, but they would come in and look at where we were, and they, you guys can't do our work. You can't do it here. So it finally got to the point we just said, well, we either got to stay where we are, or we're going to have to go bigger. That's when we decided we would come and build this plant, put in more automated type equipment.
Robots.
Lasers, punches. It just keeps growing.
For the average person that's hearing you talk, describe for them in terms they can understand what you make here. Some of the things.
Well, it's a big variety of parts, pretty much high volume, close tolerance type work.
Like you make the bottom for elevators.
We do. They make those. They make a lot of Freightliner parts. And one thing that's helped us too, a lot of the larger companies that were doing their own fabricating have sort of wanted to get away from the fabricating and just do assembly. Well, the fabricating is what we want to do, so it works out good to get that work and then just ship to them and they do the assembly work. So that's been a biggie too.
You've retired, but looking back on what you and your family, because there are a lot of family members, distant and close, that have been involved in this over the years, you've got to be extremely proud of what you all have been able to do.
It feels good. I think we've come a long way. It hadn't been easy, but been worth it, yeah. The Anderson County they worked with us a lot, helping us get the building, the property here. So they worked with us really well doing that.
In retrospect, if you had to start over again from Standish Road and you could go anywhere you wanted to go, would you still stay in Anderson County?
Yeah, like I say, they've been good to us, and we're local, and all of our people that we had at that time, they were all locals, and you wouldn't want to just move out from them.
But looking back, you've been very pleased with the company that you helped create, the people that you've hired, and the reputation that Sargent Metal has gotten.
Yeah, hopefully we've done fairly well, I think. If you look back at some of the other companies that have started sort of when we did, they're not around anymore. So, but we had good people. That's the main thing, is good people, and Just let them do their job.